Hey guys, I have Nam248 here, and welcome to my post-commentary of my current personal best and the probable world record for Sigma's randomizer of the Witness, any percent category. Sigma's randomizer for the Witness is a randomized puzzle mod that generates random puzzles for the game and just puts them in over the existing puzzles. The reason why I say this is the probable world record is I know Sigma has done runs himself. He'd claimed, I think, a 2859 on an older version. I don't know what he currently has. But this is a 2604. You can see at the bottom my splits comparing to my prior best, which it was a 2933, which wasn't bad at all, but this run just destroyed it. And you'll see why this run was so good later on. But to start out, just the tutorial section, which still uses the same kind of format. All of the areas use similar themes to what the base game has, just enhanced a little bit. So the bottom path has to be used on that maze panel just because it opens up one of the gates at the end. This tutorial was honestly kind of scuffed. Lots of little mistakes that just added up to a few seconds lost here and there. Yeah. So this last panel over here can be done in absolutely any path you want. I make sure I'm snapped in before I flick my mouse down. And then this is one of the first interesting things about the randomizer. There are some optional panels that activate certain things normally activated by non-randomized puzzles. So in this case, I'm doing this dots tutorial because the fifth panel will activate I believe it will activate one of the lasers. I think it's greenhouse laser, but I might be remembering that wrong. In any case, I've done that quite a bit better before, but as you saw, getting a new run going takes a little while, so I don't like resetting in this, and I'm definitely not resetting this again because despite the time losses, I'm very, very happy with this category, this time in this category. I do not intend to beat it or attempt to beat it, at least not without a new version coming out that doesn't require all of the optional stuff. So my strategy for Desert is to be referencing my cheat sheet of all solutions because Desert shuffles the solutions around from the base game. They're all the same ones, just in different places. So what I do is I look at what I can get, and I remember the positions on my cheat sheet for the top panels, and then I try to get everything here. So for this panel, there were two options. It was either that pattern or, which by the way, that pattern appears twice, or it would go left, right, and then do that, which I think is the bottom panel in this section. This desert wasn't incredible. I had to wait on this panel to move and go back. It's a good time save if that panel has either a central start or is the square panel, because there's only three possible patterns if there's only a center start, and there's only one pattern if it's the square panel. So it would have been really nice if I could have avoided having to go up those stairs. But it would have been a really nice time save. So in this light room, the same kind of idea. As an additional point to the center logic, this one is a center panel. I don't know why I didn't see that. If it's not, I should say, if a panel has starts in the other parts, then it will never start in the center. And that panel I could get because it's always that side up. I didn't see anything, and there's very few patterns where you won't see anything. So this part was honestly, I think, not incredible, but yeah, I forgot the fourth panel here for a few seconds. Oh, that is so scuffed. Yeah, so there is room for improvement in this category still. There's quite a bit of room for improvement in this lower section, honestly. So I've referenced that panel. I know exactly which pattern that is, so I can go over here and get which panels these two are. And as soon as I know what they are, I come back and I get the first panel. And as I'm doing this, I'm repeating to myself what the patterns are that I've seen. Or, yeah, that I've seen. So put that one in, put this one in, put this one in, come back here. There's only two left. So I can just grab that one, then I put it in the rectangle panel, which the rectangle panel is not randomized. It's always this pattern every time. Now, anybody who's played this game knows how annoying those diagonals can be to input. They just don't always seem to work. And then I know that is the only pattern that hasn't appeared. And then actually, shortly before this run, I actually learned Desert Latch Skip, which Desert Latch Skip works by putting the edge slightly off screen. You click in, and the starting point is at the top of the panel, basically. So you don't have to do the three other panels. That was the first time I'd done it in a run, so it was a little shaky, but you know, it was pretty good. So I'm coming out of desert at 5:45. If I was going for a really, really good time, like if I was actually trying to grind this down, I would probably be aiming for like a 5:20 leave there, maybe 5:15 with grinding for the 20% chance on the surface. Um, but I have no intentions of doing that, at least not unless I can get like a sub 5 out of there on a future version where the dots tutorial won't be necessary. Anyway, I walk past the Shadows laser because, again, I can do a discarded panel in the town to activate that one later, and instead it's off to the keep. Now, normally you do the front of the keep in a speedrun, but the randomizer forces you to do the back. So I'm looking at that and I'm remembering, go around one, go around another one, yes, take this little indent here, and then go across row 4 instead of row 5 for the end, and it doesn't work, and I haven't gotten it wrong since. So second panel here, you can just walk right past, which is really convenient and really inconvenient at the same time. It's really convenient because that one's the hardest one, but it's also really inconvenient because the very ending can be a bit annoying. Because again, you have to do the back last panel. In order to do the back last panel, what you have to do is sorry, I was just trying to remember what I was doing there. In order to do the back last panel, you can follow a set of solutions for the front panels. And in this case, I see this, I saw the L, I saw that the other two tetraminous shapes could form that L, and then it was just easy as solving it. So this panel, you can see right here at the start, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about it much. I can just put in the solution I had. I was lucky enough to have no shapes, basically no symbols at all in the top right. But then this part with the stars threw me. I just didn't quite understand what was going on here. And I was just very confused for a little bit. Until I realized that I wanted to trap all of those shapes on the, all of those symbols on the inside. Or not all of those. I wanted to just go around like that. And yeah, here's where I figure it out, and it just works. So again, that panel can be extremely difficult. That particular section wasn't that bad. I just missed it for a little bit. But see, I've had runs lose over a minute there, and being 41 seconds ahead of my personal best coming out of Keep was, I think, my best pace ever. Unfortunately, my best pace ever would not continue out of Town. Town is the one point in this run that I'm not happy with, and for one very simple reason. But anyway, the next two panels are not randomized. This one, you just put in the path through the maze. Again, the maze is a static object in the world. You can just put that in and just know it. Then this bridge is not randomized because I don't think it can be. It has to, it has to function. And that red hexagonal panel on the other side is not normally active. but the randomizer as of I think 1.1.8 activates it. So I can just do this panel instead of having to detour to the Glass Factory discarded panel. Um, and then the symmetry set can be pretty tough. It can honestly be really tough. So I'm just trying to look and see on both sides, and this is it. This is an easy one. This is the panel that made this run not so great. I'm not totally sure why. It's just a lot of things about how I would normally try to solve these. A lot of approaches that just don't end up working out because there's a lot of forced segments from white and black stones being directly next to each other. And you can see me trying to do a lot of the same things over and over here. I haven't been keeping track of exactly how much time I lost here, but I lost a lot of time here. But you know, this was a very challenging puzzle. So if there was any kind of puzzle to lose this kind of time on, this would be the place. And there it is. I need to check and see if that's a unique solution still. I meant to do that. So I was honestly slightly tilted at this point. Normally my runs were coming out of here at like 10:45-ish at the latest, and that was 11:10, so 25 seconds behind the pace I'd like to be on. This star door is based on looking at it through the yellow glass. If you know what colors match what colors, it can be solved without that. I know red matches pink, green matches cyan, and the dark blue matches black. So I'm just trying to solve it with that in mind. And then these dots panels only have so many reasonable options. So in most cases, I can just look at the panel and immediately know what to do. This one was funny because I hadn't actually seen one where I needed to do that before, but the rest of them were all free. And I'm already losing 30 seconds here. Fortunately, the negation panel, you have to pick a symbol to negate. It wasn't a trivial one, but it wasn't particularly challenging either. And now it's time to get the town laser. So at this point, I'm thinking the run's probably dead, but there's no reason not to keep it going for mountain practice. I was planning on doing just 190% run this night. After an all panels run didn't quite go as planned. I had a really bad swamp in that run. Anyway, redirect panel, so the desert laser is now set and ready to go. I can immediately detour to grab the monastery laser. And this is another thing that a future version will not require once Sigma figures out how to make this laser automatically active. So that plus the DOS tutorial will be about 30 seconds or so of free time save. However, you'll soon see why 30 seconds free time save plus that town puzzle plus whatever like 20 seconds in desert would not be sufficient. Also, I'm making this detour to pop up the jungle wall because I've lost runs to the jungle wall skip before. It feels awful to have to walk around. So the other option there is to do the keep discard, but I didn't walk past it. So the dot locations are randomized, but the possible patterns are not. The first two are static. The third one is always medium, medium, small, medium, large, and then the other three all have two possible combinations. I wasn't super happy with this jungle, honestly. I did solve the laser from far away, which helped. So it doesn't really matter what happens at this point. I can goof off for like 20 seconds and do whatever I want. Because if you run straight to the mountaintop with the 7th laser now active, then you'll still have to wait about 20 seconds for the jungle laser to actually get to the box and open it. So to make it a little more interesting, I try to walk backwards up the mountain until things go wrong. things went wrong pretty quickly there. So I just went up normally, and I still have about 10 seconds to kill. So, yeah. So I could have been at this point almost a minute faster, let's say. Easily a minute faster if things went well. So why is this run so good? Well, I beat my sum of best for Mountain by almost a minute. Mountaintop is randomized. I think I did something really dumb here. Yeah, I do. I fail there and separate the black star from the black stone, but I quickly correct it. So I was lucky enough to be able to solve the first two from that spot. However, I got thrown off a bit here. I didn't think that the standard position would work for this last one, but I did see that I could come around and do that, and it would just work. Looking at this footage again, I do think that the standard any percent position would have worked for that last direction. Anyway, mountain. Floor 1 is all based around just hiding the panels. So there's a negation symbol and a bunch of separation and a bunch of little implicit requirements. I back up the line here so that I can get a better look at one of the purple panels, and I'm pretty happy with what this line is. It's a bit long and wavy, which does lose time on walking, but it gives me a good view of every panel. So the dots on this one are visible. The dots on this one are kind of visible. I try to see where they are and just make adjustments as necessary in order to solve the panels. So I actually don't see where the one I'm missing is here. So I think I just try a couple different things based on what I see, and eventually it works. This one is usually very easy. There's only 4 dots. You can usually see them all, and the shape gives away a lot. This is the hardest panel on the floor by a long shot. I guess kind of seizure warning. So every failed attempt I have to watch and wait and try and spot where a missing dot is. And it takes a few tries, but I do manage to, after some tweaks, get it right. And then this one's just based entirely on the dots. It shows up a little clearer on my screen, or sorry, not on my screen, when I was playing. But, you know, that is that section done. So this was a pretty easy purple, because the shapes just naturally fit together so well. And then the orange set. I think this one threw me off. It's very strange. Yeah, it threw me off a little bit. This one was also very strange. You have to match a star with a stone for both colors on this panel, just because that's how the parity works out. But actually seeing a way to do that is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. And I honestly don't remember what I ended up doing. Oh, that's what I did. That's pretty smart. I see the shapes make a nice rectangle, but I can bisect them. This one, I see there's 2 S's, which I can just immediately put together without thinking. And then just grab the last shape, walk around. Just immediately try and separate. I see this, and it's separate shapes with their stars. I see this, it's like, it's very obvious that those 2 stars on the bottom can go together. It's just a matter of drawing the line. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like there's still a good chance of a run, because I've done most of the solving here. Nice easy town panel. The star panel also proves to be very easy. Can just separate out the black ones. And then I think I failed the symmetry here. Yeah, I failed the symmetry here because I don't immediately realize exactly where the missing dot is. Even still, it's a pretty good section. I look at the time here, I realize I have one more puzzle and then the resolve and walkout, and this pace is really good. Those S's fit together perfectly to grab all of the whites, so I don't even have to think about how to separate the rest. And I come back up here, and I realized my existing path, with some small adjustments, works perfectly for just getting me to the end. For a moment I thought, wait, I need to draw that a little differently. I did not actually need to. So at this point, I'm starting to get a little nervous because I actually have a lead now. I don't think I'd ever been ahead at this point, but this is the floor where runs come to die. And specifically, runs came to these panels to die. Um, this these panels can be very difficult to find solutions to at the best of times, and yeah, let's just say that the flashing colors are not the best of times. So my strategy is to look for similar and different colors, and then for this one I just wanted to try and put the shapes in and see what that did to the perimeter. And I see that this perimeter actually just works. Like, it actually outright just works. It takes me a bit to realize that, but once I do, moving on. So I check to see if the colors match, and once I do, once I have 4 dots of one color, I just go. And so I look at the timer, I check, it's about 1:15 for that set of panels. Not great, not terrible. This is a super boneheaded maneuver. I'm like, oh, I can save time on walking. No, I can't. I need to draw that shape. So I got to do the fast route here, which happens about half the time, where you can just go to the right side, and then with the orange line later, go straight out. The panel does not always allow for that. Anyway, multi-panel is usually pretty interesting, honestly. So I see these two shapes, and I breathe a huge sigh of relief. It takes a little bit of adjusting with how I was getting the dots, and it just works. And then I see these next shapes pop in, and it just works. And then I see this last shape, and it also just works. So, good rainbow panels, good multi-panel, fast double bridge route, which means even with the shakiness, this was still the best I'd ever done that floor. It's very easy to lose a lot of time on this floor. So I'm starting to get a little nervous here, but no run of this category is a run until you get mountain floor out of the way. So I look, I see the Tromino, I see the O, and I'm looking back and forth, and I realize that I can't do the really fast thing where you use a failed panel to get a 4x4 block. But I do realize that I can combine the P with one of those Trominos to match the S Tetramino and the O, and just have two sides and not need to worry about juggling a bunch of shapes together. And I end up with, including the elevator ride, a 49-second meta puzzle panel. And at this point, you can see I'm shaking a little bit because this is actually crazy. So I had good pace coming down here, and then I also have crazy pace discontinuing, and then it's just a matter of pushing through these pillars. I think I'll let most of these speak for themselves. This is the one I'm not going to let speak for itself, because this panel can be extremely difficult sometimes. But I'm seeing, it looks like I can put all the black stones to the side. I can, and now I'm actually just freaking out. Because there's almost nothing left that can kill this run. Like, this is going to be a personal best. It's just a question of how much. So I did miss a dot there that I was planning on getting at the end. but I can just repeat the same thing with grabbing it earlier and it just works. This pillar could have been a bit better. My initial strategy didn't work. So I had to backtrack a lot, which is not ideal. And I see that dot and I realize that I have an extra line that's necessary, and getting everything is proving a little bit challenging, but figure it out. And I'm pretty sure this isn't sub 26 at this point, but I'm extremely happy. I'm honestly shocked at this run, that I got a run like this. My goal was to get a 28. I was gunning for a 28 here, maybe a 27 at some stage. I pushed that to try to really get the 25, just that would have been insane. But that's it. That is the Witness Randomizer, any percent, 2604. I let the ending cutscene play out in the recording. I don't think I'm going to commentate over most of that, but I'd like to thank Sigma 144 for creating this randomizer in the first place. It's a ton of fun. I'd like to thank Darkid for a lot of the behind the scenes hacking work that and his own base game panel shuffler, also called a randomizer, that did a lot of groundwork for this to even be possible.
A bubble.
A bubble in a stream.
In a stream.
A flash of lightning in a summer cloud.
A flash of lightning in a summer cloud.
A flickering lamp. A flickering lamp.
Flickering lamp. phantom.
A phantom.
Phantom.
A phantom.
And a dream.
And a dream.
And a dream.
And this run was a dream.